And welcome into the Tuesday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, Big Bank Muscle, Small Bank Hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keys are here with you. Hope everybody's off to a wonderful start this morning. Joe Rexrode, good morning. How are you?
Doing all right. Looking forward to a big week. Of course, it's Tuesday, but it feels like the beginning of the week to me right now.
It does.
Maybe because it's the first time I've come in here in a while.
Maybe so. I mean, you were dodging a storm the other night, so.
That's true.
Didn't have to do that last night. That's
apparently good. It did touch down. A few did touch down.
Yeah.
But the one that was right by us apparently was not a tornado. So
really?
Yeah, I mean it had flattened out enough, but the TV didn't tell you that. TV said, "Look, see the rotation? It's at your street.
It's in Rexrode's front yard."
Yeah, the trampoline in the backyard that you never got rid of. Yeah, it's about to go flying into your house. Congrats,
Keiser. Good morning. How are you?
What's up, brother?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I did not have any tornado threat, but Joe, we're glad to have you back.
Yeah, we are.
I'll be leaving soon. By the way.
That's true.
San Antonio, the high on Thursday we get there, 93.
Yes.
Next day, 92.
That's what I'm talking about.
How about that?
That's awesome.
That is.
I think there's some people listening that think that sounds horrible, but I think that sounds great.
No, you and I are of the same mind. Can't really get too hot.
How about that? I mean, Rexrode getting right into summer. I like it.
Those old bones, man. They need heat.
You got a pool at the hotel you're going to?
I think there is a pool.
Sweet.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll get the chance to go in there.
By golly, does it have a gym where he won't leave?
I guess it's got a gym. I got to have the gym, man.
Yeah. Big exercise guy now.
Yeah, a big gym guy. That's actually my rant today. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
It's amazing you brought it up.
Looking forward to that. A little bit later in the program. We have Charles Robinson on with us today on the program. Normally every Thursday morning at 8 o'clock, an Audible this week. He will be with us today at 8 o'clock. So we will get into the Titans and all things NFL with the best NFL insider there is. Charles Robinson coming up at 8 o'clock. So looking forward to that. We got a lot to get into today on the program. We'll take your thoughts throughout the program. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. Jared on the YouTube chat says 93 in April. Shoot me. That's from Jared on the YouTube chat.
Come on, man.
Bring it on.
I mean, it is deep in the heart of Texas.
It is. Very deep.
Got to keep that in mind. Yeah. I'm excited about it. But I will say, too, since we're talking about the weather there, you know how I just obsess about daily weather. There's storms that come through, and the high on Sunday is 68.
That's
so
quite a bit.
93, 90, 93. Then you go 83. Then you go 68. So, yeah. So I got to soak it up early.
That's quite a bit of difference. Although 68, not bad. I've seen.
It's okay.
Do you remember when the Titans opened the season in Denver? I think it was 2020. And I remember this because we talked about it at the time. There was snow on the ground like all week long in Denver that week. Like it was snowing. And then like the day before the Titans got there, it was like 90.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Really? That's quite the turn there in Denver.
Yeah. It's, especially at that elevation, can be so all over the place.
Yeah, pretty wild. So a lot of Titans fans, Joe, are reacting to Brian Callahan, his comments yesterday down at the owners' meetings. And we've talked about what Kuharski and others have thrown out there from Chad Brinker and from Mike Borgonzi as well. And the Titans have not come out and said, yep, Cam Ward is our guy. And they're talking about make a decision. You know, Brian Callahan said yesterday that thinks they might come to their decision on what they're going to do at number one here in a couple weeks. And I think some of the feedback from Titans fans that I've seen is, okay, well, if you are coming to your decision in a couple weeks and you've already had all your quote unquote touch points with Cam Ward here, shouldn't you kind of know at this point if you're drafting Cam Ward or if you're not drafting Cam Ward? Like, what do you need 2 more weeks to figure it out for? Like, you've had him at the combine, you had him in for a 30 visit, you've had a private workout with him, you've gone to his pro day, like you've done a lot of things with Cam Ward to this point. So I've seen some Titans fans say, Joe, that the fact that they're not out there saying, yep, Cam Ward is our guy, means that they're not taking Cam Ward, and they're trying like mad to get this trade to come across the finish line by the time the draft comes around. So some Titans fans freaking out. What do you make of what we've seen from Brian Callahan, Mike Borgonzi, Chad Brinker, the approach here of not coming out and saying, yep, Cam Ward is our guy, and what that could mean as it relates to what they do with the number 1 overall pick.
Yeah, it's a really interesting conversation because I kind of get it because, but so I think even when teams kind of like say like they're not moving off a pick or whatever, I guess there have definitely been times when like the number 1 pick is number 1 pick, and you might even say, yes, this is our guy. But I feel like teams still, for the most part, try not to say who they're taking. Am I wrong about that?
I don't think you're wrong about that. Like, I don't even think. Like, I'd have to go back and look at every piece of coverage on this. But, like, even when Cincinnati was drafting Joe Burrow, right? Like, I think we all knew they were drafting Joe Burrow. But did they ever come out before the draft and just outright be like, yeah, that's what we're doing?
Right. We're taking Joe Burrow. There have been, in the past, times when a team had the number 1 pick, they're taking the top quarterback, and they would sign him to a deal. Like, you would have the deal signed, before the draft. So, obviously, that's different than this. I mean, look, I understand why it starts to get a little weird and frustrating. And it is like listening to them talk yesterday about, the discipline and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, but like you said, but what's disciplined relative to what information? Now there is Shedeur Sanders this week. He's doing stuff. So there is that information. I know we'll get to that later, but it just, to me, I guess you can interpret it different ways. It could be, yeah, of course they know, and they just don't want to say it. And you're just keeping it open over here again. Keep the door cracked to someone kicks through the door and says, "Okay, man, we're giving you the world. We need this guy." And then, we know that the Titans don't love him so much that like if that was the case, it would be. I think the whole process here would have been different. I think they've come to this point, right? So I think
that's fair.
So if they've come to this point, to me, they could potentially be moved off it if there's something compelling enough. Why publicly shout that down? Why publicly, you could say whatever and a team could still call you, but I think you want teams to think you're open for business. I think that's why we saw the NFL newsbreakers put that out. I don't. Like, how are those guys going to put that out without the blessing of the Titans? That would be ridiculous. You're saying that because some agent told you that? The Titans would be like, who the hell told you that?
Right.
So that doesn't make sense. So the Titans want it to be known that they're open for business. I mean, that's how I look at it. So I still think there's a way higher than not chance that they're taking him at 1, but they're leaving the door open. That's the only thing I can really come to here.
Well, I guess my question would be like, what's the harm done in approaching it the way that they're approaching it? I don't know if there really is harm.
Just annoys
done, right?
fans.
It annoys fans.
Yeah.
And I guess in some ways, would it be nice if they just said, yeah, we're going Cam Ward at number 1? Kind of. I mean, I kind of like the suspense heading into the draft. So we'll see what that ends up looking like. Callahan also said yesterday, and we played the audio from TD, just because they've not come out and said, yep, Cam Ward's our guy, doesn't mean that they don't think he's their guy. I mean, I'm with you. Like, I still think the chances are pretty high that by the time April 24th comes around and Roger Goodell waltzes out on that stage out there, that Cam Ward is going to be the first name that he calls to the Tennessee Titans. So, I don't think that this is like some confirmation that they're just out on Cam Ward. Now, there's some interesting theories that have been thrown out there. We're going to get to some of them a little bit later in the hour as to what this could mean. But I just don't know that there's really any harm in not coming out and saying it. And again, I say this, and I'm like halfway joking, but halfway serious. It is a TV show, and the NFL really doesn't want you coming out there talking about your picks. Not that that never happens, because we know that it does. But I think in a perfect world, the NFL would like the Titans to just play ball a little bit here and just go make your pick when you make your pick, and not come out there and be like, hey, yeah, it's what we're doing at number 1 overall.
Yeah. Now, I don't think the Titans are doing I think the Titans are doing this of their own volition, but yeah, the NFL's in favor of it for sure. Chris asks if Travis Hunter's coming for a visit as anyone. Yeah, Hunter, those guys have all come in for visits. Hunter, Carter, Sanders, and Ward have all been in for visits. And then and you get 30, right? I believe.
Yep.
So, yes, they have been in for visits.
Oh, they've had some running backs in for visits too, so which we talked about. So
Who have they had? Dave?
the kid from was it Iowa State? I can't remember.
But
Can't
not
remember his name.
Scadaboo.
I don't think they've had
Dude,
Scadaboo.
Scadaboo is going to be so awesome. Whoever gets
If they've had
Scadaboo-
Scadaboo, I've not heard about it.
Someone complained about Scadaboo running like 4.6. Dude, you know, Jerome
guy,
Bettis couldn't outrun any linebacker in the history of the NFL. Who gives a crap? Do you remember how great he was? Scadaboo is going to be amazing, man.
Hey, you might be able to get him in the third round if you trade back.
I'd be
Pick up
all
another
for
pick.
it. I'd be all for it.
I would too.
He is going to be so fun in this league.
Yes. Look, PK seemed annoyed at the idea last week that they would even consider taking a running back, and I largely probably agree. Like they've got way more needs than running back right now. I think we'd all agree. But I mean, if they took one of those guys, would that not signal to you that they're like, okay, Tajay Spears, we'll see you later?
Just real quick, turn around and look at Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, I know he looks like he just ran about a half marathon.
You seen the movie Airplane with the pilot just pouring sweat? Holy crap!
That's what happens when you know that Aaron Rodgers is about to be your quarterback. Oh God, it's gonna be a long year.
Meanwhile, he's making fun of my old coworker Mark Caboli's
dude. Did you see
body? Caboli's up there just passed out.
Passed out of sleep.
I don't think he was. You know, the Big Joe did this crap to me one time. I watched the video, and I actually don't think he was sleeping, but that picture, he had his hand in his face, or his face in his hand, and he was like bored, but he was still, his eyes were open. But the camera took a picture of him with his eyes closed. Big Joe took a picture of me at a Titans press conference one time when I seriously just blinked. I had my computer and I blinked. And he took a picture of me and tweeted it and said, "Oh, Rexrode's a pass out of the press." I mean, I was just sitting there with my computer and I blinked. I seriously, I farted him so much after that. I mother farted him so
Was
much.
Vrabel there? Did he ask you what you were doing with your hands after you were asleep? Or
I don't know if that was, God, that probably was Vrabel. Was that possibly Malarkey era? It was probably early Vrabel era. Seriously, you're supposed to be working, Big Joe. You're there with a camera in the back row, and what you're doing is you're taking pictures of people sitting in the thing, blinking, and tweeting them out instead of working at a press conference.
I'm here for it.
I don't know why this triggered me so much.
615-737-1025, our phone number. So what do you make of the Titans not just saying that Cam Ward is their guy? We'll take your thoughts on that. Also, how could another quarterback factor into all this? We'll get into that later this hour as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We are live from our Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. What do you make of the Titans not just saying, hey, Cam Ward's our guy? I'm cool with it. I don't think it necessarily means anything. Some Titans fans, not cool with it. Skyler on the text line says, Titans fans aren't concerned. We already know the Titans are stupid and will make the wrong decision. It's from Skyler on the text line, who seems a little down.
There you go. That's a good reason to not be freaked out, at least.
It is. We know that it will end in disaster.
Yes.
So we are not concerned about it. One texter says 2 years ago, they told everybody they wanted C.J. Stroud, and that didn't turn out too well. I think the pick is Cam Ward, but Joe's right. Leave the door open. The Saints may go crazy, throw a deal at them they can't refuse. If they say they want Cam Ward, I don't think they can get that deal. I think it's funny. We all feel entitled. We should know exactly what they're going to do. This is from an unnamed texter on the text line.
Yeah, and again, they didn't explicitly come out and say they wanted C.J. Stroud, but there was, well, I mean, basically there was, I mean, Diana Rossini was in the building. There was some reports about, you know, like Titans ready to make a big move. I'm trying to remember, like, the Stroud, like did it get actually reported that the CJ Stroud, I forget how it all, I remember it was a big thing. It was like, man, did the Titans like make it obvious to the Texans, and the Texans reacted to that? There was never like a definitive, you know.
Did Rossini say something to the effect of like the Titans are targeting CJ Stroud or something like that? Yeah.
I know. I remember I wrote about it. That, you know, so, you know, again, that was the Rand Vrabel draft. Well, that was the Rand Vrabel Skoronski draft.
Yeah.
But there was something. I mean, there is something. I'll go back and look at it, actually. Yes. So, but it wasn't like they were like, everyone, here's a press conference. Hey guys, we want CJ Stroud. Just want you to know. And of course, that was also the draft where, you know, the heavy smoke was the Colts and Levis.
Yeah.
And then it turns out to be the Colts and Richardson. It turns out to be nobody in the first round in Levis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which we did not see coming. I mean, we were talking either the day before the draft. I think it was the day before the draft when the Reddit page happened, where it was like, yeah, Will Levis is going number one. And like overall, it actually affected the odds. The odds.
Yeah. Yeah, just total BS.
Like, wow.
Okay. Yeah. Well, interesting thing too, you know, the NFL really does, like, they try to, I mean, you talk about a TV show, some of the most memorable moments of this TV show over the years is the QB who drops Aaron Rodgers being one of them. Others have obviously done that. Levis was that.
Brady Quinn.
Yep. Brady Quinn. Absolutely. The NFL tries to get a gauge before, like, so that they don't have anybody in the green room who's not going in the first round. And yet that still happened. So misinformation still a big part of this. So who knows? Someone out there could be just completely BSing right now,
at least this year,
including your Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, at least this year, if you're maybe hanging out in the room a little bit longer than you anticipated, you got the nice city of Green Bay just to walk around.
That is true.
Just go check it out.
There are many places that have amazing cheese curds.
They do,
within walking distance.
There's some Porta Johns all along the street too if you need to go relieve yourself. Liam McLeod on the text line says the whole thing would be easier if we knew Cam Ward was going to be any good. But hey, if he stinks, it isn't unprecedented for a team to give up and draft another quarterback number one the following year. I guess that is true. You could draft. Now, has somebody done that with a number one pick? We know old Josh Rosen got selected, but he was like 8 or whatever he was, 9.
Back-to-back number one overall?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I'm quite sure
That'd be a tough one.
I'm quite sure that hasn't happened. But yeah, back-to-back QBs, yes. By the way, shout out to Liam McLeod, who also said that if it gets too hot in San Antonio, I can cool off in the basement of the Alamo. For those of you who've seen the movie Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Oh, yeah.
Great flick.
If
you haven't, it's a great flick.
It is. Ed says, why 2 weeks? Are they waiting on something to occur, like under some gag order by the NFL? I mean, I don't think look, they may know in 2 weeks. Well, I don't know that they're going to come out and announce it in 2 weeks either.
I guess I took that as by the start of the week in which the draft will take place, they'll know. You know what I mean? I think that's what it is. That's how I took it. Like, basically, draft week is that Monday, right? So that would be – is that right? That it would be Monday the 14th? or I guess not actually. I guess that's still the week before the
still
draft.
week before.
So I don't know, man.
Well,
That's their self-imposed timeline to be like, this is here now. We have the draft board. It's done.
here's what, like, if I'm a Titans fan that wants them to take Cam Ward, here would be what I hope that they're basically doing. Like, my hope is that they actually do know, and they're just not going to come out and say it at the moment for the reasons you laid out earlier. Of it doesn't really do them any good to just come out and say that, yep, that's our guy. But like, I do understand a Titans fan that says, all right, well, you've met with this guy 4 times already. You've been around him. You've gone through the film. You've had him in your building. You've gone to his pro day. You've gone to a private workout. Like, you should probably know if that's a guy that you want to draft or if you don't. So if I'm a Titans fan and you're hoping that they draft Cam Ward, then I think you should be rooting for. They do know. They just don't want to come out and say it right now, which very well could be the case, by the way. Like, there's no real benefit to them just coming out yesterday at the owners meeting and be like, yeah, he's our guy. That's who we're going with.
Yeah. But again, I would be rooting for okay, this is me. I wouldn't want the Titans to draft Cam Ward because I don't think it's going to go well.
Right. I'm just saying if you are a Titans fan that want Ward.
Yeah. But I would still, even if that's the case, I would still want my team to be like open-minded enough that if someone comes with something stupid at the end, close to the draft, like the Saints are like, no, we got to have him, man. He is going to be our guy. We've talked to, these teams, what do? They sit around all day and talk about this stuff. Yes, they have the same information, but it's still human beings sitting there arguing. And you can talk yourself into a lot of crap.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Like trading AJ Brown.
Exactly. So I would still want my team to have the open-mindedness to be like, oh, okay, what is that offer again? Okay, guys, let's talk about this. Yes, we were resolved to take Cam Ward, but think about this. And this is good. This is like game-changing draft capital for us, and we can improve our football team so much. And it's not. I mean, come on, does anybody seriously think? Look, Cam Ward could be great, but does anybody seriously think, including the Titans organization, that if you pass on him, you've passed, like you have just given up on the absolute, key to all glory in the NFL and in the next decade? I mean, it's
I think some people are talking themselves into that. Yes,
yeah,
but that's hard for me to get there.
I understand there's some Titans fans who now have they've fixated on him. They got their minds made up. This guy can be great. You can watch the film. You can absolutely talk yourself into that. But again, he's not. I'm sorry, but he's not that prospect. He may turn out to be that quarterback, but he's not that prospect. He's not this clean, clear, top of the draft prospect that some quarterbacks are in some years.
615-737-1025, our phone number, 615-737-1025. Stilly threw out an interesting theory yesterday as it relates to the quarterback and what the Titans could potentially do at number 1. We'll get into that coming up next. This is Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5-106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. Make sure you tune in later today to 94.9 The Fan for Vanderbilt baseball as the Commodores host Western Kentucky. Pre-game beginning at 5:45. First pitch at 6 o'clock. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at theGameNashville.com. Talking quarterbacks leading up to the draft. So Stilly threw out an interesting theory yesterday, Joe.
So hold on. Before you tell me this,
okay.
two things. First of all, you brought him up. I didn't. So text line clowns who want to rip me for bringing up Stilly, I didn't do it.
This was mine.
Second, before you bring it up, I'm sorry to cut you off.
That's fine.
If this is about the draft, I've heard him scream at callers who suggested there's any other outcome but Cam Ward.
Well, this is about the draft, and it's another outcome than Cam Ward. So he's changing his tune a little bit.
Okay, well, I look forward to hearing this. Also, I look forward to him apologizing to people he screamed at weeks ago for suggesting anything different could possibly happen. Go ahead. Sorry.
9-minute run.
Thank you.
Hey, that was a little bit more accurate than what happened the other day.
Yeah, his Vols commentary yesterday was predictably stupid. It's out. It's out. It's out. It's out. That's all it can be. We can't. He doesn't know any players on the team, so you can't talk about stuff like that. It's out. All right, go ahead.
So, Stilly believes that the Titans, quote, want to have their cake and eat it too. And what he means by that in the draft is they still want to have this trade back opportunity, and they're going to end up drafting Shedeur Sanders. That this has been the long game all along. They met with Shedeur earlier in the draft process at the Shrine Bowl. They still got the pro day coming up, which half of them are not going to, and then the private workout, which apparently they are going to, with Shedeur Sanders coming up at Colorado. And that they're going to try to trade back with the New York Giants. The Giants move up to number 1. They take Cam Ward. The Titans collect some assets there, some futures from the Giants, and still end up getting their quarterback at number 3 with Shedeur Sanders. Now, of course, the problem with that could be what happens if they trade with the Giants and they take Cam Ward and Cleveland goes Shedeur Sanders at 2. Then you're up a creek at that point. But that is the theory that Stilly has thrown out there. Joe, your thoughts?
Okay. I like it. I love it. I like it. I love it. Want some more of it, Jared? Yeah, I hope this is true. I mean, it's just so. Does he? Okay. Do we have any sound of this? Does he actually think this is true, or he's just?
He said
like this is. He's just like.
And I quote. He said, "This is not what I would do," because he didn't think Sanders is very good, but he thinks reading the tea leaves that this is what they're going to do. He's trying to determine what they're going to do.
I mean, the inspector is absolutely
It's
working overtime.
prime.
My God, get that big, magnifying glass out.
Get the flashlight on his head with the helmet.
I mean, it's creative. It's an interesting thought. Hey, look, I'm a Shedeur Sanders guy. So,
You are.
So I approve of this theory. I just So this kind of gets into also the fact that the Titans are sending a half contingent to Sanders.
Yes.
Which you could look at as just more playing the game, right? You could look at it that way. You could look at it like they're not taking it nearly as seriously, and they're basically just showing up as a formality because they know they're not going to take him because they know they're taking Cam Ward. Or you could take it like, yeah, let's hold a few people back and make it look like we're not all that serious about Shedeur.
Well, I think that's his point of like the trying to read through the smoke screen. And the example he brought up was, of course, what you talked about earlier, and that is Will Levis, right? Like it was thrown out there. It was made, I don't know if abundantly clear is the right word, but there was some smoke out there that Indianapolis was interested in Will Levis, right?
Did they do things? Did the Colts do things?
I don't know. But it was coming from somewhere.
Sent like Irsay shows up.
Yeah.
His whole entourage at his pro day. I don't remember.
Just hanging out in Lexington. Where's Will? Going door to door. Have you seen Will Levis? Trying to find him.
Yeah.
Bringing him back to my bus with my Jimi Hendrix guitar.
That's right. Will, here's a pick that Jeff Beck once had. So okay, that's because all I remember of the Colts and Levis is that was sort of the word, right? Yeah. That was something that some people who covered the league
Yeah.
said. I don't remember. Indy, Ben, if you're listening, Colts fans, if you're listening, did the Colts actually do anything that demonstrated some extra attention on him / not as much on Richardson?
Yeah, and look, I think beyond the specific Colts example, the larger point remains of like we do see teams at times kind of play that game where they either act like they're interested in somebody that they're not really interested in, or they act like they're really not interested in somebody that ultimately they're planning on taking. So that could be part of the game here. Look, it's not an insane theory that he's thrown out there. I don't know that I necessarily buy that that's the way the Titans are leaning here. And again, I think if that's your plan, you better be pretty darn sure what Cleveland's doing at number 2, right? Like if you're trying to trade back with the Giants at 3, like what's Cleveland doing at number 2? Because if your plan is to end up with Shedeur Sanders and you end up with none of them, like are you okay with Jackson Dart? What are you doing at quarterback?
Well, yeah, but I mean, so if that were the case, again, just speaking for me here, but okay, then I do what I would have done at 1 anyway, which is go get Travis Hunter and run up to the podium and say, thank you very much. I just got a guy who's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. And yeah, you're going to stink this year.
Yeah.
You'll stink this year, but also you just got extra draft capital and you got the best player in the draft.
Right. I agree with you there. And I honestly, I would probably rather see that. I don't love the idea of messing around at quarterback. Like to me, I've talked about the whole time, if you love one of these quarterbacks, that's fine. Then just take them. Like the idea of like, well, we can trade back and get the quarterback. Well, what happens if you don't? If that goes that way, like to me, if you are really, I go back to that word that Willie and DVD hate when I use it, but convicted. Like if you're really convicted on your quarterback choice, then I don't know how much messing around I'm doing trying to pick up extra picks. Like it would be great if you could pull it off. There's no guarantee you can pull that off.
So if this is truly what their whole plan is, make it look like they just love Cam Ward. Make it look like, yeah, we'll show up with a few people at Shedeur's pro day, and they want Shedeur. Does that mean then that if no one comes with anything, they're just going to take Shedeur number 1?
That would be my question. Like, are you prepared to do that if you're the Titans? And Stilly also threw it out there. He's like, I think they actually do like Cam Ward better than Shedeur Sanders, but not that much better where they wouldn't be okay trading back and picking up extra picks. He said the Titans might have them rated pretty close to the same. They wouldn't care about the drop off if they pick up extra picks.
Okay. Wow. That's a lot.
I'm just telling you what I heard.
That is some brain pretzeling right there. Okay. Well, again, you brought him up.
I did.
Okay. Hey, I
the first time.
I love
you.
Sometimes I love the
98%.
Yeah, that's right. I love the intrigue. I love the idea of something creative like this. I have my doubts that it's actually what's going on in that building, but hey, we don't know. So this is the time when we can speculate, and for some people, just make up fantasy scenarios. If he is your guy and you could get him and you could get picks, that's pretty great.
That seems like a dream scenario. Again, there's risk that comes along with that. Do you make anything at all of apparently Brinker and Callahan not going to the pro day in Colorado, but they are going to be at the private workout later?
It's just a little bit strange, Is Amy all of a sudden cutting back on the expense account? Like what else do you have going on? You guys have weeks here. I understand you're putting together your whole draft board and everything, but like you all went down to Miami. So it's just a little weird. And honestly, the weirdness of it with what we've just talked about, I mean, it is a little bit of like, like, are you truly just telegraphing the truth, which is you don't give a crap about Shedeur Sanders and you wouldn't take him?
I guess the counter could be they're all going to be at the private workout anyway. So what difference?
Just like they were with Cam Ward.
But you were both with Ward, right?
Exactly. So why was it so important for all of them to go to the Ward thing?
I don't know.
I mean, it probably means
Stilly's got something cooking here.
It probably means that they're going to take Cam Ward number 1, and they're like, why send everybody when we're just doing this to just basically to do our due diligence?
Touch point.
It's probably what it is.
Yeah.
Touch point. There you go. But I love the idea that it could somehow be, people are on the lake, so the Titans, they don't care about Shedeur. Okay. So we don't need to try to worry about, moving up to 2 after they move to 3 because they don't care about Shedeur. And then boom, they take Shedeur.
So what do you make of that idea that was thrown out there by Stilly? Could the Titans be playing the long game here and actually be interested in Shedeur Sanders and picking up more draft capital? Or is this just as simple as Cam Ward's going number 1 and people are making way too much of this? We'll take your thoughts on that. 615-737-1025. More coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game.
They keep telling everyone, if we use the pick, we're going to take Cam Ward. And I actually think that's true because my guess is their evaluation of Cam Ward is a little bit better than their evaluation of Shedeur Sanders. But I don't think that it's that good of an evaluation that would make them say, no, we're taking him, period. Like, that's our quarterback, moving on. And I don't think their evaluation has that big of a difference between the two, that it wouldn't be all the extra picks that they would get by moving back, potentially with the Giants at 3. Because if you don't make the move with the Giants, then you're definitely not going to get Sanders. If you make a move to 9, you're not getting Sanders. Even though I don't like Sanders, and I wouldn't take Sanders that high, if you move to 9, you're not getting Sanders.
As Stilly yesterday on the program, making his thoughts on the quarterback predicament for the Tennessee Titans.
Also, I thought he had Shedeur Sanders as like a 3rd rounder. There's so many things keep changing.
But he still doesn't like him. He's just saying he thinks he's going to go pretty high.
We had an argument in Kobe about how he's not a 1st-round pick and he's going to plummet. And okay, now there's no way you're getting him if you fall to 9.
To 9.
Amazing, the changes that keep happening.
Let's head to our 1025 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Jeff to the program. Jeff, good morning. Thanks for calling in.
Good morning, gentlemen. I have a very crazy scenario for you.
Okay.
Let's assume with the incompetence of the Titans front office, they want neither Cam Ward nor Shedeur Sanders, and they're baiting whoever they want to trade with, and they're going to take Jackson Dart. Just a thought. I hope you gentlemen have a great day.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. That's not the first time I've heard that thought of what if the Titans are interested in Jackson Dart all along and they're trade back and they pick up a ton of draft capital and they end up taking Dart.
Be smart, then get Dart.
Yeah.
No? We'll just go back to Sharp for Dart. Hey, what about what?
I mean, the T-shirts could be happening immediately if that's the way they go.
I think Dustin from Hawkinsville said, "What about what about little Will Howard? You get back into the 3rd round with this Giants trade, and you get Will Howard in the 3rd. How about that?
I mean, Kyle McCord can go
Sure.
down the list. Quinn Ewers, they draft Quinn Ewers. I may walk out of this window over here. It's the station.
For Ewers.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know if I can handle that.
No, I wouldn't. I don't see that going well. Hey, you know what? What are we going to be at by April 17th? In terms of like the theories that we have.
I don't think that they're targeting Jackson Dart here. I could be wrong. I mean, again, it's not the first time I've heard that theory. The idea of they don't really love Ward or Sanders. You pick up a ton of extra draft capital and you go back and get Dart. The question is, like, how much extra draft capital are they actually going to be able to pick up? Like I say, the Titans don't actually love Cam Ward. Is there a team that does? Like, do the Giants love Cam Ward to the point where they're giving up, they're moving heaven and earth to come get him?
Really,
you're moving back 2 spots.
I
The
understand.
Saints, you giving up a ton to go get him? That's the question.
Right. I mean, I understand. It's hard for me to buy that the Giant. I understand that like they don't have a ton of money tied up in these quarterbacks they got, but also I still find it weird that you signed both of those guys and then you're gonna do to move heaven and earth to get Cam Ward.
A lot of mentoring that could go on.
That's
with Wilson
mentors
and
on
Winston.
top of mentors. Yeah. It's hard for me to. I mean, I think ultimately this is going to come back to the Titans. Say Cam Ward number 1. But I like the thoughts. I like the idea that there's some intrigue going on here.
Andrew on the text line says, "I heard the Titans are in talks with Andrew Luck coming out of retirement." Just call it Andrew,
Stanford AD, who by the way has Frank Reich coaching Stanford this year.
I saw that on an interim basis.
Yeah,
a one year deal.
Interim basis for that is very strange.
Very interesting. Let's head back to our 1025 The Game phone line. Welcome in Jared in Spring Hill to the program. Jared, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, Stillman's quite entertaining. However, I think I called in a while back. Hey, bring in Shedeur, give me him, and it'll be an early death sentence for Brian Callahan, not literally. So then my dream could come true of bringing in Dion. We can have this great new stadium, Dion, Shedeur, and everything else that comes along with it, and extra draft capital. See, Stillman's on to something. Also, too, Joe, I got one question for you. Another biscuit?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Nice. Thank you, Jared. This is a walk-off
Nice
from Jared. He's
lob.
hung up the phone.
Nice lob. Yeah. Here's my question on Yeah, I mean, the whole Dion thing, I think I just saw
Dion just got paid a lot of money, by the way.
he did. Hands off, NFL. Here's my question on Dart. Have the Titans done anything with him? Because there's misinformation and there's little hazing. A few more people go here or there. But like, if you don't do anything in terms of visits or anything, I think now we're not in reality.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Senior Bowl was so long ago at this point. Did they do anything with him at the Senior Bowl? They talked to him? I don't know.
You can't make an investment like this if you don't take advantage of these opportunities to spend serious time with someone.
I would agree.
So I can't sit here right now and say for certain, like I just haven't heard anything about them with Dart being one of their 30 visits or anything like that. I don't think that makes any sense. That's the case.
Here's where I'm at on the Titans front. I think the most likely outcome is going to be Cam Ward at number 1. I'm okay with that. I don't love Cam Ward, but I'm looking at the quarterback room right now, and selfishly, I have no desire to watch Brandon Allen and or Will Levis and or Tim Boyle play quarterback next year. So if you want to take Cam Ward, be my guest and take Cam Ward. I am getting close to the point where I'm a little bit scared off of Abdul Carter, like the shoulder stuff and the foot stress reaction. Taking him high like that kind of scares me based on what's going on with him. We talked about Rosenhaus and that stuff the other day. I'm at the point where either take the quarterback or take Travis Hunter. That's where I'm at here. Like, I've seen the idea. Could you, like, what happens if the Saints move up and are really aggressive? Like, if they want Cam Ward, they move heaven and earth to go get Cam Ward. I could probably live with that if you trade it all the way back. I mean, you're not getting Ward or Sanders at that point, and you're probably drafting, I don't know, Tyler Warren out of Penn State. Like, you could live with that, and you would live with just the absolute haul that you get. I have my doubts that New Orleans is going to be like, yeah, we're going to pay this premium to come up and get Cam Ward when they've got Derek Carr on the roster this year. So we'll see, but that's where I'm at. Either take Cam Ward at number 1 or take Travis Hunter. Like, those are the two players that I want to see in a Titans uniform.
Yeah. I agree.
And they're not taking.
I mean,
Hunter one,
I say take Hunter. I'm 100% take Hunter number 1 and be happy and know you got a great player. But yeah, I agree. But again, unless something like, I agree that it's unlikely. But if the unlikely happens, which is just a crazy haul, then hey, I think you are pivoting. Then I mean, you are pivoting then really to another season of Levis, unless you then decide, okay, we actually do like, Kyle McCord, and he'll be the rookie coming in.
Yeah.
And we'll have a McCord, Levis, Allen, Boyle QB room of just glory, or whatever. Yeah, you might be signing up for just a lot of pain this year, which isn't probably good for Brian Callahan. But again, that's only if it's amazing.
Did you see Chad Brinker's thoughts on Will Levis the other day? Like, trade him? What do you mean trade him? Why would we do that? Like,
yes.
We've not contacted anybody, and nobody's contacted us about Will Levis.
That was Brinker?
Brinker said that.
Brinker
and Borgonzi talked about how he's going to be competing for a job, just like everybody else.
So Brinker only talks to Wyatt, is that right? He only has the Jim
I think
Wyatt?
he talked to other people the other day. I think he spoke with Kuharski a little bit and TD and all those guys.
Okay.
I think. But this was his quote. Brinker says, this is from, I believe, the Wyatt story. What's the plan with Will Levis? Plan with Will Levis is he has a chance to compete for our starting job next year. And that's like every player that's on our roster. No different for Will. I see him at our facility. He's working hard. Everybody knows he's a great kid. He's a hard worker. He's going to give it everything he has. And we're going to continue to work with Will Levis. That was the quote.
Okay.
I just want you to remember that when he is traded and or released later this summer.
Yeah. Probably. Unless things get real wacky here.
Yes, they do. 615-737-1025. Our phone number, 615-737-1025. An interesting alternative idea that's been thrown out as an answer to the Titans' quarterback problems that, quite frankly, I've not thought a lot about, and we've not discussed a ton, but is interesting, that was thrown out at ESPN yesterday. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3, The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game, brought to you by First Horizon, big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get it all. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keys are here with you on this Tuesday morning. We will be joined by our man Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports coming up at 8 o'clock. Normally on Thursdays at 8, and Audible this week. He's coming with us on Tuesday, so looking forward to that here in about an hour. Taking your thoughts in the meantime, 615-737-1025. Joe, we will get to the Bill Barnwell quarterback piece of the interesting idea he threw out there yesterday here in just a second. We do have one texter that says, we have been pushing a narrative. Let me just start with the original text message. It says, Nashville media disliking Cam Ward makes me want him more. We remember the slobbering for Burks, Farley, and Arden Key.
What?
Which is an interesting triumvirate there.
Okay.
He also says, we've been pushing this narrative that Cam isn't worth the number 1 pick when plenty of analysis says that he is. Your cuts into the show are just begging the Titans to trade the pick.
Okay. Well, look, pushing the narrative. Look, here's the narrative. Okay. If you go out and look at the draft analysis, I think the highest I've seen Cam Ward, does Mel Kiper have him maybe as like the 4th or something like that?
Mel Kiper's got him at 5. He's actually got Shedeur Sanders at 4.
Okay. So that's the highest I've seen by anyone who covers the draft, which again, these are, we have Dane Brugler on every year. Dane Brugler does a great job of film study, but he also does a good job of talking to people around the league who make these decisions to form these rankings. Most people rank Cam Ward around the middle of the pack of first round. I think at The Athletic, we have him like 13th, 14th, something like that. So that's not a narrative we're pushing or making up. It's what the rankings are. So you want to deal in facts, let's start there. And as far as the I don't even know what
Arden Key.
Slobbering over Arden
Just
Key.
when I think you've said the stupidest thing ever, you keep talking.
I don't really totally get that. But
I will say there was a couple day stretch, a couple training camps ago where it's like, man, Arden Key, this guy's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's kicking Andre Dillard's butt out there on a daily basis.
I mean, if you can beat Andre Dillard, what are we talking, 18, 20 sacks this year? So meanwhile, Robert says, Levis is coming back as our quarterback. They've been telling y'all this, but instead of listening, y'all belittle your listeners. And I just said, well, most listeners of this program or listeners of probably any program think that's absolutely freaking stupid. So now, Robert, you were belittling those listeners. Why? Why do you belittle those listeners, Robert?
Guys, I don't think Will Levis is coming back as a starting quarterback.
Like, listen, I want to say this right now. If next year it all comes back to Levis is the starting quarterback,
and that's the plan.
Robert, I'm going to let you sit in for a whole show. You can sit in for me for a whole week if you want. Seriously. I'll put it out there right now. Come in here. Sorry, Robby and Robert.
The Robby and Robert program.
Show. It just absolutely, and I want you to rip me all day long too. They just go whenever you come up light on a topic, just rip me for a whole week, okay? Will Levis is not going to be the Titans starting quarterback. My God.
Joel on the text line, going back to Stilly, which was I forgot to bring this up with you. Says his show was crazy yesterday. The trade back flip-flop, his Godfather skit, and he took Wyatt's Brinker quotes and used an AI voice of Brinker to play audio. He did do that. So he took the quotes from Brinker in Wyatt's story and found an AI voice for Chad Brinker and played it. Now, he did make it clear that it was AI, but he did do that.
What did it sound like? Did it just sound like a robot?
I mean, it kind of sounded like Chad Brinker.
Like they actually tried to find something that replicated his voice?
Yeah.
AI is freaky, man.
It is.
And Robert, if you can't come in that week, I'm just going to have AI do my part of the show, actually.
Oh, we'll just get the AI
jokes will
version
be
of
funnier. The jokes will be funnier. The less likelihood of a slip up and, say mother farter, whatever.
One texter says, we're really good at pushing narratives and telling it how it is on your side of the aisle. You guys ever thought about running for Congress? I've not thought about running for Congress. Don't think that would interest me. What narrative are we? I would love to know. What narrative are we pushing?
No, I don't know, but now I'm thinking about public service. Now that you mention it, yeah, I don't know. Is
the narrative that Will Levis is not going to be the starting quarterback for the Titans next year? Is that a narrative?
Yeah, that's That whole thing is
I don't
wild.
think that's a huge hot take.
Now, if we want to get into the Ward stuff, again, I think some Titans fans really want Cam Ward.
Sure.
And so they really want Cam Ward. They want to believe that Cam Ward is a number one overall pick level player. And
He might be.
look, but he's not as a prospect.
Right.
Again, Trevor Lawrence. So this is where it's hard to do these jobs, right? Because Trevor Lawrence is, and always will be, one of those guys. Oh my God, the whole league would take him. If you need a quarterback, he's going to be generational. And so far, I don't think that's going to. I mean, he's pretty good.
Okay. Yeah.
So could Cam Ward be a better quarterback than Trevor Lawrence? Yes, but he will never be a better prospect. I mean, that's just
Right.
what it is. Like, I'm sorry, that's
And
what.
those are two different things for sure.
Exactly. The great thing is, if you're a Titans fan who wants him to take Cam Ward, is that those evaluations are often dead wrong, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know what the narrative is.
I would love to know, like, what is the narrative that we're pushing? I mean, look, we've talked about it. At this point, I'd be cool with them drafting Cam Ward. Do I have an extreme amount of confidence that Cam Ward is going to be the answer at franchise quarterback? No, he could be. Like, I'll leave the door open for that. But if your narrative that we're apparently pushing is that Will Levis isn't going to be the starting quarterback, I'm here to tell you he's not going to be the starting quarterback.
Yeah, Robert, I'm sorry, you're not going to get the show for a week because, like, if you really think the Titans are actually telling us that Will Levis is going to be the starting quarterback, that's not what they're telling us. What they're telling us is they're saying what you should say. They're saying what you should say right now. He's under contract, and every single player under contract, you want to be working hard, and you don't want to, just completely crap on their hopes. So they're doing publicly what you have to do in this situation, really. And that's all it is. And Levis, I believe, will be with another team next year. But we'll see.
We will see.
There is a chance that I could be wrong for the first time in my life.
Gover throws it out there. Quote, Will Levis the starting quarterback? If I woke up tomorrow morning with my head sewn to the carpet, I wouldn't be more surprised. Shout out to Christmas Vacation.
Nice.
Good stuff.
Well done, Gover.
I got one texter that says, long-time belittled listener here, first-time caller. The narratives of this show are hurting mayo sales and driving up the price of eggs. A lot of problems this program's causing around town here.
When you put those things together, that just makes me realize, I haven't made deviled eggs in a long time, and I love deviled eggs.
I think you should keep it off the menu. I'm not a huge deviled eggs guy.
Man, if you had my deviled eggs, I mean, obviously you have to have mayo, you have to have the eggs, so that's why I thought of it. You get that right amount of paprika in there, man, come on.
Hey, are there Titans fans out there? I mean, I remember the sales going quickly. Like, are there Titans fans out there that still have a pretty good stockpile of the mayo cologne that Levis threw out there?
That's a good question.
They went quick. Like, you had to get in a waiting list.
Yeah,
some of those.
No, that stuff was selling out. They had limited supply, but that was selling out.
Yeah.
If you have any mayo cologne, let us know, and maybe we can buy it off you and make it a prize for something.
Maybe so. 615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. We will get to Bill Barnwell's somewhat off the wall quarterback idea for the Titans coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063 The Game. Tune in to 94.9 The Fan today as the Nashville Sounds take on Gwinnett. Pregame beginning at 2:50. First pitch at 3:05. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at theGameNashville.com. Sounds baseball on 94.9 The Fan, presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So it is mock draft season, Joe. I'm largely over the mock drafts at this point because, my God, there have been a lot of them. Bill Barnwell put out his yesterday, which also includes trades, and he tries to get a little spicy with this mock draft that he threw out there. So here's what he's done for the Titans at number 1. They make a trade with the Browns, and it's a 3-team deal with the Browns. The Falcons get involved in this too, obviously, and Kirk Cousins ends up with the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. So you're getting Cousins out of all this. He's your quarterback. You trade the number 2 pick with the Browns, and the Falcons get a 2026 7th-round pick, and the Titans also get a 2026 2nd-round pick from the Browns and Kirk Cousins. So that's what you've got there. So he's got Kirk Cousins in a 3-team deal with the Browns and the Falcons coming to the Titans.
Okay, so one goes to
Cleveland.
Yeah. And then 2 goes to Atlanta. Is that
No,
what you're saying?
2 goes to, let's see here. I'm trying to look at the way he's placed it. 2 goes to the Titans. So the Titans trade back
Initially,
with Cleveland.
Yeah.
And no, it stays with the Titans. He's got them at number 2. And basically it's getting Atlanta out of the cash that they would owe Kirk Cousins here.
So then, okay.
And the
So
Browns
Titans
are picking number 1 overall.
And the Titans still pick it too?
That's what it says.
Taking.
He doesn't have what they're going to take here. It's just the trade that's thrown out there. He's throwing different trade ideas out there.
Oh, okay. So he hasn't actually done it along with an
Correct.
actual mock draft.
Correct.
I see. Okay. All right. Well, that's Kaharski's. Kaharski was a big. They should get Cousins. So
it's not an idea we've thrown out there a lot of Cousins, but he is still available. Now it's funny because Raheem Morris, of Atlanta, was talking like 10 minutes ago about down at the owners' meetings about Kirk Cousins, and they are remaining adamant that he is going to be the backup quarterback in Atlanta unless like some crazy deal comes along. And we've talked about that with Charles. Charles seems to be of the same mind that unless, it seems pretty clear from Charles's reporting on this that Arthur Blank is kind of dug in here and loves the idea of going with Penix and at least having some insurance with Kirk Cousins as your backup, given the fact that he's already paid him that $10 million spot anyway to be on the roster this year. So, I mean, maybe it's as simple as he stays in Atlanta, but I would have to think at some point, whether it's via injury or elsewhere, somebody gets desperate enough for a quarterback that they pry Kirk Cousins out of Atlanta. He's played ball so far with them too, which I wonder if there's a point where he doesn't.
Where Kirk doesn't?
Correct.
Like, in other words, you think like malcontent type stuff?
Yeah. Like,
I'm
not saying like he's in there like, stealing all the chips in the meeting room or anything, but like, does he say, I want to go start somewhere? Help me do that.
Yeah. I mean, well, he already met with Arthur Blank. So, I mean, I think he's shot his shot, and I think he probably gets that it's either something stupid or you're the bad guy. And again, I mean, the more that time has gone on with that, Penix has a lot of injury history. Yep. Penix has a lot of injury history.
He does.
And Penix, I don't know if Penix is going to be good. Still don't know. There was some pretty promising start last year. There's some zip on some of his passes that you don't have with Kirk anymore. But what if Kirk actually does like come in way healthier and more like his own? Now you have it's not bad to have depth there, man. It's not there. Penix is not a sure thing either in performance or in health. And so I actually kind of get it. You're not paying him any money, I've kind of embraced the idea of the actually having good QB depth at that spot. But hey, I'm here for Barnwell's, idea. I don't think the Titans are here for it.
No, like the veteran quarterback, and this is what goes back to the Ward Sanders stuff of it looking like that's the way they're going, is they just didn't really give themselves insurance here, right? Like we've talked about, I mean, the Giants, say what you will about the insurance that they've got, but they've at least got some with Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. The Titans could have done that, and they didn't. So what does that ultimately mean? I don't know. I doubt very seriously it means that they're about to try to pull off a trade for Kirk Cousins. That's just my guess.
But we've got all kinds of theories.
That's what this time of year is for.
You know what's really interesting is the whole like the Levitt. What do we? Let's see. We used to have the Tannehill Tattletales,
Yeah,
or the Boohoo Crew. We need to come up with something on the Levis thing. You know, I think it's a small group of people, but still, like there are people who are like, why is Levis? Why are you giving up on him? You get this texture you're going back and forth with. So, I'm 33 years old. I'm still in the mode of developing quarterback. So just giving up on him for a full year of playtime. You're going to discard Ward if he plays crappy this year, trade Ward, draft another. We do with coaches and GM, so why not, right? Yeah. But again, remember, the difference would be when people are going to say that too. Cam Ward's going to struggle, and people are going to say, well, you better just get rid of him as quick as you did Levis. But that's the difference between a top overall pick in a draft and a second round pick in a draft. There's a big difference in just basically guaranteed runway. And even then in the NFL, it's 2 years.
I mean, Anthony Richardson was taken 4th overall. He's been there 2 years, and he's apparently in a quarterback battle in year 3.
Yes, Chris Ballard was asked, if it's important that he win the battle, and he said it's important that we win football games. So apparently Chris Ballard, Daniel Jones wins a QB job. Chris Ballard has completely botched another quarterback choice. But if they go 9-8, you're good, man.
Yeah.
You're good.
That guy's got some job security.
Yeah.
Well, again, like, I don't know what to really tell you guys anymore about Will Levis. Like, did you watch him play for 2 years? I understand the Titans have a lot of problems. Okay. They've had a terrible offensive line, and the conditions around Will Levis were not good. Nobody's going to argue that. His play, independently of all that, was terrible last year. Go back and watch that Cincinnati game. Go back and watch Cincinnati game and tell me that that's who you want playing quarterback for you next year. He had some clean pockets in that game where he just threw the ball right to the other team. I mean, I'm not trying to pile on the guy, but I don't really know how you could watch him play quarterback last year and come away thinking, yeah, well, he'll be fine moving forward. That's an acceptable answer for the Titans next year.
Yeah, and again, in the Titans, what they've done, regardless of whatever they're thinking with Ward and Sanders and whatever might be happening in the draft, again, that to me, the acquisitions that they've made at quarterback set up a move for him for, a 7th and a 6th swap or whatever it's going to be. But we'll see.
Cam has thrown out the name, the Mayo Minions. Could that be in consideration? What do we think?
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not as good as the Miracle Flip, but we'll work with that now. We'll go with that now. We'll work on it.
The same texter says, if what you're saying is true, then I'll tell my son to never be a quarterback because the job security isn't good.
Well,
welcome to pro sports.
I know the pay's good.
Yeah. Guess what? The job security in professional sports, unless you're good, isn't quite there. That's kind of how it goes.
And that quarterback job security and job, time to prove that you can do it. That has definitely
it's changed,
been reduced. In recent, no doubt.
It's changed. Look, to answer your question, if they draft Cam Ward number 1 overall and he's not good in year 1, are they going to move off of him in year 2? Probably not. I'm here to tell you though, if he's bad for 2 straight years, yeah, they're probably going to start looking at another quarterback by the time year 3 comes around. It's just the way things are in the NFL right now.
Yeah, that's reality. How about the Miracle Wills?
It's not bad. You got some pretty good suggestions.
We'll keep working on it
on the text line.
We got some more? Okay.
615-737-1025, our phone number. 615-737-1025. More to get to on the quarterback front. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up at 7:45. Charles Robinson will be with us at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. It's time for the 4th annual 615 Open Charity Golf Tournament. Cromwell Media, along with partners Fox 17, Outfront Media, and Social Indoor, are proud to announce we'll be back at Hermitage Golf Course coming up on Thursday, May 29th. To make a difference while having a great time, you could join us and a few guest media members, athletes, and musicians as we raise money for Folds of Honor. Donations will go to provide life-changing scholarships to families of America's fallen or disabled military and first responders. You can sign up to play or sponsor at 615open.com. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle, firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will be with us at 8 o'clock. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up here in a few minutes at 7:45. Joe, we could potentially get a vote today down at the owners meeting on the tush push and whether or not that's going to be banned. A lot of discussion, a lot of back and forth about that this week. Diana Rossini putting it out there a few minutes ago that the story of the morning is that the tush push with the owners is expected to be voted on today. However, there is some chatter that it could get tabled and there won't be a vote at all today. We'll see. Apparently a lot of dissension on the tush push. You got the Packers throwing it out there. And we talked yesterday about it. It's apparently gotten pretty heated in the discussion rooms here, which tells you that there's a lot of discussion about actually putting this rule through and banning the tush push. So could get a vote on that as soon as today, Joe Rexrode.
Yeah, well, Charles, we can talk about that later. I know he tweeted last night or whatever, X posted, whatever the heck you call it now, that he doesn't think they're going to end up banning it, but that they're going to have possibly, I guess, maybe some kind of tweak or, it'll probably be pushed for another year, but it doesn't look like the debate's going away. I do think that like the possibility of like an injury on this play seems high. So if something like that happens, then that might tilt it the other way. But so far, really, I haven't had that, right? I'm
just looking at this quote from Woody Johnson, Jets owner, that was thrown out there yesterday.
Yeah. What a gem.
Did you see this one? Quote, they got Justin Fields as their quarterback now. Quote, I think Justin Fields going to be a total winner for us. I've been impressed with him since his college days. It was he or Trevor Lawrence, and I think he's going to be really good. This from Woody Johnson, who, of course, drafted Zach Wilson ahead of Justin Fields in the draft.
Yeah.
It was he or Trevor Lawrence or, I don't know, Zach Wilson.
Yeah. Now, he says a lot of stuff that I find amusing, like the NFLPA's, player reports are totally bogus. Like, really? So the Players Association has the players vote on things, and of course they gave him like an F or whatever he got, F-. So that's just totally bogus because you don't like the results. That sounds familiar.
That can't be a real quote. It was either Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. Woody, you had the number 2 pick in that draft, and you selected Zach Wilson. Oh yeah.
Did
we do that?
Zach, right?
I forgot about
him. Good old Zach.
It was always Trevor Lawrence or Justin Fields. Really? Okay.
It was either Trevor Lawrence or Ken O'Brien.
We complain a lot about
Richard Todd,
Titans ownership, and Amy Adams Strunk, and her not maybe addressing the media as much as she should. That's probably a better strategy than whatever Woody Johnson's doing out there.
Well, yeah. No, I don't think that she'd be out there. I mean, she cannot break into that absolute upper crust elite level of just doofus owners. I mean, that is an amazing crew, and long way to go to get there. I'm tell you right now.
It is. I mean, between the picking players and making decisions via Madden ratings and some of the things that Woody Johnson says, sometimes it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, he seems like a sharp guy.
He does. So we'll see what happens at the NFL owners meetings with tush push and whether or not that ends up getting banned. It's interesting to see, like, some of the coaches have come out and have just been outright like, yeah, this is not a football play, and it's more of a rugby play, and it needs to be getting rid of. Now, a lot of coaches are talking about the player safety angle of it and what that looks like. Sean McDermott talked about that at the Buffalo Bills. Then there are some coaches that say, yeah, this is about people not being able to stop the play, and they want to get it out of there. So just learn how to stop the play. So that's the source of the heavy debate that's going on in the tush push.
Well, I've seen it stopped. just not when the Eagles run it.
Yeah.
Have the Eagles ever been stopped on it?
They have.
They have been.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not very often, but yeah, they have.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen other teams do it and get stopped. So it's not like it's unstoppable. But yeah. I don't know. It seems, we had the whole, you had a rant that day after the just over and over, and they keep, jumping the snap at the goal line with the Commanders and Eagles. And it was like, this place
It was awful.
It's stupid. It's gotten to the point where it's so dumb. But again, when you have something that works that well, I mean, I'd keep going to it too.
Did you see Vrabel's comments on the tush push?
No.
He said, quote, "There's a lot of plays that you have to defend, whether that's the quarterback sneaks, whether that's read zone, a lot of plays that are hard to defend. And I don't think you can get rid of them every time you have a tough time stopping it. I mean, Lamar Jackson shouldn't be able to run with the football anymore. How about making that rule? Like, that's tough to defend." This is what Vrabel said.
Braves. We know what side he's on.
We can count the Patriots as probably not being in favor of banning the tush push.
Yeah. I mean, I generally hate, the whole, the shift. The idea, you're banning the shift in baseball. To me, it's like, how are we banning however you want to line your defensive players in baseball? Why would that ever be a thing?
Right.
I hate that idea. The difference, I mean, it's the safety aspect of this that's the difference. And also, I mean, I guess most of my life, I just never thought as an offensive player you're allowed to push or pull your teammate with the ball, right? That's always been to me like a no-no in football, and now it's not.
Well, from the fan standpoint too, a lot of the pushback from fans is it's not a very aesthetically pleasing play. It's cool, it's 4th and 1, and there's going to be this giant dog pile of humanity out there, and I guess we'll see whether or not they get the first down.
I mean, one of the most famous plays in NFL history is your beloved Green Bay Packers, Bart Starr sneaking it in the ice bowl against the that's short yardage in the NFL. Yeah. It may not be the tush push, but it's the same thing.
It is. It is. I don't want to see the situation we saw in the NFC title game where we got, guys launching themselves over the line of scrimmage 5 times in a row to try to stop this thing.
Yeah. Well, maybe if the Eagles wouldn't have messed around and hard snapped, you know what I mean? Yeah. Just go score. Just and then we might not even be having the discussion right now, because that was infuriating to watch.
It was exhausting to watch that part of it. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Somebody just sent us a leak on the text line of the Eagles getting stopped on the tush push by the Bucs. So you can stop it. Okay. It is you are allowed to stop it. Ultimately, I doubt it gets pushed through, but we'll see.
Pun intended.
Actually, pun not intended. How about that?
You don't think that the banning of the tush push gets pushed through? Okay, I think you're probably right. A lot of options on the text line for get levitators.
Yes,
the Mayo Clinic. That's an interesting one. A lot of mayonnaise. Levis losers, Levis loyalists, et cetera, et cetera. I think the first one is still the best one. So we'll keep trying. But it's a small but very vocal and very loyal group of people who
I respect.
No, I do too. You're not wrong that he got a raw deal. Any athlete who's at least a really good athlete in high school, who's good enough to play in college, certainly good enough to play in pro, whenever it doesn't work out, if you talk to that athlete or their family or whatever, it's always that they got screwed over and all. Yeah. I mean, it's just you can't, it's hard to acknowledge that you're just not quite good enough. You know what I mean? It's kind of very rarely will a team ever say after a loss, man, they're just better than us. They just kicked our butt. It's always it's not what they did. It's what we didn't do. Right. So I'm certain that's the mindset of Levis and his camp. And you know what? Again, I'm not discounting him being a good player in this league at some point, but I'm with you. The performance last year separated from the conditions, and it's why there's going to be a different quarterback in Nashville next year, and there should be.
615-737-1025 is our phone number, 615-737-1025. We'll have the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode coming up next. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will be with us at 8 o'clock. This week's Nashville's Best Deal comes from Bad Axe Throwing Nashville, downtown's largest axe throwing venue and your go-to spot for food, fun, and vibes. Enjoy panoramic views of the city, a killer soundtrack, craft cocktails from the full bar, and a Northwoods-inspired menu with a Southern twist. This week, score half off a $50 gift card while supplies last. Head to theGameNashville.com/deals and grab yours now. We'll have the Rex Rant coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment, let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Too heavy. Whew. Step 1, shake the head. Step 2, rub the muscle. That way people know I can actually typically lift it. I'm just injured. All done with the set. Let's go ahead and randomly hang on this pull-up bar now. What's this guy staring at? Dude, can I help you?
I understand I'm sexy.
Ron says, do you really want to sit on somebody else's wet or dry butt juice? Use a towel, not paper towels.
I don't.
Okay, dry. What is dry butt juice? How is that a thing?
It is that time of the day. Time for the Rex Rant with Joe Rexrode. You can check it out every morning here on the program. Joseph, with that in the background, the floor is yours.
So that's sort of like, I guess, is that sort of like the other day I got lemon pepper wings. It was like, do you want like the sauce or the dry rub? I went with the dry rub. Is that what that is basically? It's like the
Great
dry rub
comparison. I'm sure that's exactly what it is.
What the heck was the first thing we were listening to there, Keys? Or you always come with these obscure things that I've never heard in my life.
It was just some random guy doing gym memes, like weird etiquette that you're not used to.
Okay, well, that is what the topic is today, and it's kind of, I guess this is a sequel to the butt juice conversation. So in the gym last week, and got a nice routine going on. I know kind of have a different thing on different days, all that stuff. You can go to the different machines, and when it's really busy, what I've gone to, it's not ideal, but I don't know if other people do this, but it's like, rather than, because it's better, I think, to rotate a little bit, but it's like if it's super packed, then I just stay on one apparatus, sit there, wait, then get through 4 sets, and then just then wipe it down and move on. You know what I mean? I don't know if some people try to still bounce around, but then it's just like, okay, then someone else might try to get in there, and then you didn't wipe it down, all that stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about, those wiping it down. So I did my apparatus. This was like I don't know what the heck you call it. Where you pull together thing. It's like the
fly.
I guess so. Yeah, sure. Let's call it the fly. So I got done with that, and guys waiting. And so I go, it's right behind it is like one of the little portals that has the wipes. And so I go, he's like, yeah, don't worry about that. And I'm like, no, it's okay. No, he's like, nah, you don't need to worry about that. I'm sweating at this point. Like, no, I really will. And so then I get the thing, and I come back and I wipe it down. I wipe the hand. He's like, oh, God, you don't need to do it. And I'm like, yes, I do. And yes, you do. What do you do in this gym, dude? You don't wipe your sweat off this stuff? Please do. Don't tell me I don't need to do it. And also, don't tell me that you don't need to do it. That's really all I have. I was like,
gotta keep an eye on that guy.
Don't be that guy who's like, no, we can all just swim in each other's sweat. It's fine. No, man. No. This is not a problem. This is no problem for me.
Not going out of my way here.
I will take the 20 seconds to wipe it down. Please, you do that too, okay? You freaking worry me, and now I'm not going to follow you on any of your apparatuses.
I understand I'm sexy.
Apparati?
I think apparati maybe the way to go
apparati.
there.
Yeah. That was like, nah, man, no. Like this is not something to laugh about. I sweat on this thing. That's why I'm wiping it. So yeah, let's all do this.
Little concerning beyond the fact that probably means that he does not wipe down set equipment. Little concerning that he could see your sweat and was just like, yeah, man, I don't care. Let's have some more of that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess he was kind of standing like behind it. But yeah, at that point, you probably should have, I had like some sweat on my, my hair and stuff. You should have realized, this is not someone who just came in the gym and it's fine. It's dry.
I heavily encourage you to wipe this thing off.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
Yeah. Yeah. I will never say that to someone. Be like, oh, no. It's good. Leave it. It's like it is. Yep. Okay. I'll wait for you. Please wipe it down. Man. Thank you. Wipe down your equipment.
Yeah, wipe down your equipment. And also, this is God bless this guy. I was doing a row machine the other day. And this guy, I don't mind casual conversation at the gym. I'm cool with talking to people. But 35 consecutive minutes of just talking while I'm working out when I don't know you is a little strange. Let's just it was a long time. Just have a nice passing conversation. But like, we don't need to go through the entire history of your life and my life and what all's going on while I'm in the middle of a workout. Like, it's
Right.
one thing if we're just sitting there, but I'm lifting weights and this guy's like, so what do you think about this? And I'm like, oh, it's great. It's awesome. Appreciate you talking to me while I'm got this weight in front of me here.
See, that's part of why I've got AirPods in my workout mix going. So there's just no.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, this guy comes up to me. I pop up. Yeah. Okay. Nah. But like, for the most part, keep that in. Keep locked ahead. Metallica going loud. We're good.
Logan asking if you offered that guy a pocket mint. Said that guy would have taken one for sure. Can I interest you in a pocket mint? I've got some loose mints in my pocket here. Maybe a little bit of lint, but you can wipe that off.
Good call.
Of course, that guy may be opposed to wiping things off.
Good call, Logan. So this guy says that guy calls Joe's sweat gym gravy. Good
That's
Lord.
Freaking gross.
And I do apologize for comparing butt juice to like dry rub wings. That was out of bounds by me. I'm sorry.
Good gracious. We've got some very gross illustrations on the text line right now. People are really bringing it today.
Robert says you definitely did not say that to that guy. Did not say what, Robert?
No, wait. I promise you I can wipe this thing off.
Mr. Levis lover over here.
Maddie says, I bring the wipe with me to the machine now to avoid someone sitting down before I wipe. My gym was terrible about someone running to the machine while I was walking to get a wipe. I carry the spray and a few, my gym's just got a rag. So we've got multiple stations of just rags hanging out over there. So I just carry stuff with me.
Yeah.
It does save some time over there.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, and that makes sense. But wait a minute. To avoid someone sitting down before I wipe. Oh, I see. So in other words, if you get up to go get a wipe, sometimes someone will jump right in.
Jump right in.
Yeah, that's aggressive. But yeah, that makes sense. Some people take that. See, from Franklin said this segment is a semi-disaster. Semi?
Well, as long as it's only semi.
Semi? I think we're going for the full-blown.
I'm about to say, we've had plenty of full-blown disaster segments. We can handle.
We're going for the full Monty, in a manner of speaking.
Yeah, we are. Mike says, hearing the gym talk, being chubby has its advantages. Don't have to deal with all this
I'm
crap.
still chubby, Mike. Like everybody in the gym, if you go to the gym, it's not like everybody in the gym is Mr. Olympia over here. Mr. and Mrs. Olympia. We got all shapes and sizes.
We do, which is encouraging. Yeah. Get in there and go to the gym. It's nice.
It's just good for you.
It is.
Even if it doesn't really change how you look.
Even if you end up with some sort of disease in there. Just giving all the liquid talk we're going through over here. We good. 615-737-1025. Our phone number. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will be with us. Coming up next, we'll get into all things NFL with him. Robby and Rexrode, 1025-1063 The Game. Final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Nick Keyser here with you on this Tuesday morning. Robby and Rexrode brought to you by First Horizon. Big bank muscle, small bank hustle. Visit firsthorizon.com/get-it-all. We head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports. Charles, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, gents. How you doing this morning?
Doing great, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us. So, Charles, a lot of debate over the tush push and whether or not that's going to continue to be allowed in the National Football League. We could see a vote today with the competition committee. So, what's your thought on this and where we could be headed with the tush push?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if it gets to a vote today. It's pretty interesting. I worked on this pretty extensively yesterday and felt like I got a feel for maybe half the league for about 16 teams, and it feels dead to me, honestly. If the comments of head coaches and general managers are accurate, I think right now, not even counting, let's say, like the Arizona Cardinals, who obviously Jonathan Gannon, ex-Philadelphia Eagles coach, not counting the New Orleans Saints, when you have a head coach there, ex-Philadelphia Eagle coach, and Kellen Moore, I still count 10 teams, not including those two. I still count 10 teams that are leaning away from voting for a tush push ban, and you only need 9 total votes to ban it. And so, just looking, like I said, at 16 teams, I'm already coming up with 10 who publicly have made comments that they're not for a ban. So I think ultimately what will end up happening, this is just me speculating here, I think the competition committee is getting together right now. I think what will ultimately happen is the Green Bay Packers, who have put the proposal forward to ultimately ban this play, are going to see that this is probably going to go down in flames if it reaches a vote. So it'll either get tabled, and typically when things get tabled, there's some kind of a trade-off. They'll table it and say, let's look at medical data moving forward. We just need more information on this, so let's extend it out through the 2025 season. And then we'll decide a year from now whether or not it's something we need to revisit, or the Green Bay Packers will just look at it and go, you know what, let's withdraw the proposal, and then we can rewrite it in a way that some teams have issues with maybe the language of it, or just try to thread the needle a different way. I would be shocked, honestly, at this stage if it was brought to a vote and ultimately passed. And I spoke directly to somebody with the Eagles yesterday, and I think they're kind of in the same boat. Obviously, it's considered their play. Nick Sirianni is one of the really big historical figures who not only brought this into Philadelphia, but really developed it. And I think the Eagles are sitting there staring at this going, that we don't feel like there's enough of a groundswell since the owners' meetings has started to really do away with it.
What about the Lions, the division winner thing? I mean, I haven't heard much about that. That's nah.
It's
not
really
happening.
I feel like the proposals, like the one that, look, the tush push, honestly, I feel like has kind of dominated everything. Since the meetings have started, it's really become that one where it's the lightning rod, and everybody's really aimed at this, and that's what's kind of everybody's radar has kind of been jammed up with this. But in terms of what I think will pass, I think the dynamic kickoff will become permanent. The touchback, whether it will be moved to the 35 from the 30, we'll see on that. I don't know. You definitely get a sense amongst some different league executives that it feels like maybe moving the touchback to the 35, which would basically the rule would be aimed at forcing opposing teams, like put a kick into play, like force a return rather than just kicking it and taking the touchback. If your opponent is going to be at 35, you're going to be more likely to put the ball in play. I think there's that one's a little dicey in terms of moving it, but I do think the dynamic kickoff becomes more permanent. I think the direct contact between NFL teams and free agents in terms of like teams and the actual players is something that is going to end up passing. All that does is, hey, during the quote unquote tampering period, you can actually have like a one Zoom call or phone call with the actual free agent rather than having to go through the agent during that period. I think that will end up passing. The automatic first down for the legal I think that's dead. I think the seeding, as you said, the Lions, the sort of reseeding to reward best overall record rather than division winner. I don't think that's got enough to pass muster. So that's why I think, really the sensible rules kind of feel like they're going to pass and it's not a big deal, but the tush push is the one that I think is the broader argument, particularly considering everybody's getting asked about it nonstop.
So, Charles, it sure seems like we're going to see a quarterback battle and a competition between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones in Indianapolis there. So what's your read on that situation and what this could mean for Anthony Richardson and how he's viewed in that organization?
Yeah, it's look, there's no question that they signed Daniel Jones to come in and push Anthony Richardson. And I'll just tell you, when the signing happened, so many people that I talked to who have been in contact with Daniel Jones, so many people who have really watched Anthony Richardson, what's unfolded in Indianapolis since he came in as a rookie, were kind of, it was like it was just done in their mind. They're like, Daniel Jones is going to take that job. Like it's, regardless of what you really think about him and how he performed with the New York Giants, I think it's just, there's just such a down feeling on Anthony Richardson after last season. I almost feel like he may have lost that job when he tapped out, when he decided I need to take a break here in the middle of a game. That was sort of when all this confidence was really ultimately lost. And particularly Daniel Jones, when you talk about the athletic profile, they're similar. So if they had brought in, let's say a statuesque pocket passer who doesn't have a ton of athletic ability, then maybe you would say, all right, this competition is going to be wonky because you got two guys with really differing skill sets. Daniel Jones doesn't have a differing skill set than Anthony Richardson. They can run the same style of offense. They both are high level athletes. I think, Richardson's a max level athlete, but Daniel Jones is very much an athletic quarterback. So you don't have to change, I think, realistically what you're doing in the meeting room. It's just who can execute the offense. And, Shane Steichen, the head coach, Chris Ballard, the general manager, they've been very clear. Like, look, it's straight up. It's a competition. Like if Anthony Richardson is going to keep the starting job, he's going to have to win it. He's going to have to fight this guy. So I don't, we'll see how it unfolds, but I will say that if it's meant to be sort of a kick in the pants with Anthony Richardson, hey, you have to take a huge leap forward with your study habits, with how much you're working, with your physical fitness, with your completion rate, basically everything. I think it's been delivered. Now we'll see ultimately what Anthony Richardson does with that. But I think it's accepted in a lot of corners with people who kind of know that situation there, that Daniel Jones was brought in to likely take that job. And if it doesn't happen, then that's the upside that you have, that Anthony Richardson has turned over a new leaf and come in as a different player than he did, I think, last year.
Okay, Charles, I want you to stay with me now. Okay.
Oh boy. Are we going to talk about gym equipment?
No, but I hope you're a wiper. I certainly hope you're a wiper. I know you've been in the gym hard. Hope you're wiping just as hard as you're lifting, Charles.
Yeah.
Let's not make that a drop. Okay. So you're the Tennessee Titans. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
You actually love Shedeur Sanders. So you are sending the entire crew down to Cam Ward. You are counting on the Giants to move up to 1.
Right.
You are going to send a half contingent to Shedeur this week to kind of throw people off the scent. you are going to get more draft capital and happily take Shedeur at 3, and you have won the draft. Do you think the scenario sounds plausible in any way?
If it happens, I will tip my cap to the new regime in Tennessee in terms of the front office. I don't think that's what's anticipated.
You don't think that's reality?
No, I don't. I will just look. I will rest on the evaluations of people across the league. So we're putting together the all juice team right now, and this is a very heavy, hitting up evaluators, area scouts, over the top scouts, general managers, pretty much everybody who lays eyes on prospects. And I would say it's a fairly universal opinion that the difference between Cam Ward and Shedeur is pretty significant, and that for the Titans to choose Shedeur over Cam Ward at this stage, they would have to be right in their evaluation in a way that almost seemingly everybody else is wrong. And that's, that can happen. Absolutely. There's no doubt that can definitely happen. I think Bo Nix, again, I keep going back to Bo Nix because I had people just kill him last year. And ultimately, when I went through, spent time with Sean Payton with the Broncos before the season, he was just like, I don't care. He's like, I literally don't care what a single person in the NFL thinks about this guy. It's ultimately what I think about it, how he fits our system, and what I think I can do with him. And he was absolutely right. And, I think by the end of it, the acceptance was he was the right guy for the right team, for the right situation, the right scheme, all these different things. So if that's what the Titans are, if they're looking at Shedeur and they're saying that's where we're at, and let's play poker here and get the Giants to move up to 1, or whoever to move up to 1, and they execute it, I would be very, very impressed. I was impressed with what Peyton did, honestly, with Nix, because I was like, I felt like it was a gamble, and he showed he knew exactly what he was doing. And I'll say this too about Ward. I told you guys, I think I told you last week, you go back a few weeks. I mean, it's probably about a month now, and his camp seemed to think there was no doubt that the Giants were moving to 1 to get him. That was just, it was like, they were just anticipating it. They're waiting for it. Like, when's this ultimately going to happen? But it's number one, I think it'll be super costly. And number two, I think the level of confidence that the Titans would have to have in drafting Shedeur you'd be swimming upstream, but that's got to be a great team. You see something that others don't. And there's a reason why the Broncos were transformed last year in a way that not a lot of people anticipate. I will ask you, Joe, is this something you think you have? Are you reading the situation and you seeing that, hey, this is a Shedeur situation, or are you saying, hey, could this be something?
This is a theory that has been floated elsewhere at this station. So we have I just was throwing it out there to see what you thought about it. I mean, I'm with you. Like, if it's actually how they're looking at it and there's actually anything to it, I would tip the cap too, because it's like, wow, you guys have really gone through quite a ruse here to ultimately land at Shedeur Sanders. I don't think it's real at all. But I mean, at this point, we got 3 weeks, and this is where we are. We are now digging into just bizarre.
Yeah, theories. And we've been everywhere, right? Haven't we been everywhere here?
Oh,
like
yeah,
I've
pretty much.
Every single week it feels like it's a different. I've gone through iterations myself, and this is not. It wasn't like a creationist effort. It was me talking to people around the league, and I'm telling you, coming out of the combine, people were like, the Titans aren't taking Cam Ward. It's not happening. Like, it's, and these are individuals who are spending time around Titans evaluators, who were, going out at night with Titans evaluators, who were at events after the, following the combine, assessing players. And they definitely felt there was a vibe that the Titans were just not that impressed with Cam Ward, and, that they were going to be going somewhere else with the first pick, either dealing out or taking, let's say, Abdul Carter or whoever. I wonder how much the the foot issue with Abdul Carter plays at this stage. Definitely there are some teams that I don't know he's necessarily on their sub board at this point. But immediately when there's a foot issue with a pass rusher, even an elite level guy, there's certainly a heightened sense of, where is this going forward? How worried should we be? Now we're not going to see him work out. How long are we going to go here? There's going to be a medical recheck. There was a thought process. Hey, he's going to take part in the Penn State Pro Day. Not happening, and so you wonder how much that changes the dynamic. But every passing week, it's kind of felt like I've heard differing opinions or the momentum's changed, and there's a little bit of sort of reading the tea leaves yourself when you see a pro day and you're like, all right, well, let's see who they sent. How much are they driving into, social media wise, and the number of executives and coaches, and everybody's going to watch him and they're working him out. And what is the private workout like? When do they go to dinner with him? You pour all the resources into it, but I will say, get back to basics. Just look at the evaluation, and overall for them to pass on Cam Ward for Shedeur, I think personally, again, and this is looking broadly across the entire league, they would have to be seeing something that I would say 90 to 95% of the rest of the league is not seeing, with the evaluation between those two guys and coming to the conclusion that Shedeur is the better player.
Quick clarification on that. Do you think then that the information coming out of Indy is this is just a case of more information and they change their mind? Like you said, maybe Abdul Carter could be part of that. Or do you actually think that there was active misinformation happening in those conversations?
I don't think it was misinformation. I think it was just the assessments at that stage. You're grasping to try to understand how a team feels about a player, and it's early on. And I mean, it would be individually. You'd have to ask each individual person who is walking away with that feeling, like, why did you feel that way? And it's not going to be a universal, hey, they're telling everybody they don't think he's a great player. No, it's not that kind of a situation where everybody has the same read. It's, hey, we ended up at the same place this night. We're doing drinks and we come across each other, and, this individual inside the organization is shrugging, saying, I don't think it's, he's okay. He's not great. I don't think any of the quarterbacks are great. So then they walk out of that situation going, man, they don't really seem to love him. And if you got the first overall pick, you really should love the guy you're selecting. All right, well, it's an assessment. So I think it's different. It was different across the board. I didn't hear any, there wasn't connective tissue between all these different people who were like, hey, it's the GM is just killing this guy. That to me is usually active disinformation, when it's like coming from one person high up and you're like, wow, there's some loose lips from this individual, and I'm hearing it from half a dozen other people from this individual that he doesn't like him. That to me usually smacks of disinformation. This was more I walked away from it after getting a couple weeks removed from the combine. I walked away from it feeling like, okay, this is just people trying to make their own assessments with their interactions with different individuals in the franchise who have different levels of power, some of which it's like zero. Like if it's an area scout, they don't really have any decision-making power. There's only a few people who have that kind of power. They were walking away underwhelmed with how the Titans felt about Cam Ward. And I think as the process has gone on, I feel like that's changed a little bit, right? Free agency happens. You sign a tackle for the kind of money that the Titans sign a tackle for. And then all of a sudden, you feel these assessments where they're like, yeah, they're not going out and they're not signing that tackle to, go get a veteran. And then they don't go get a veteran. They're not heavily involved in the veteran market. So they're definitely leaning into the quarterbacks in the draft. And then, like I said, it all comes back to what the assessment is. What's the draft assessment on those quarterbacks? Let that guide you rather than conspiratorial ideas or, I don't know. Again, if they go and they draft Shedeur, I will tell you it is not something I saw coming. And I've seen wild stuff happen with quarterbacks, but like, let's go back to even Baker Mayfield. When he was the first pick in the draft, I exited the Senior Bowl telling people the Browns like Baker Mayfield enough he could be the first pick in the draft. I got murdered for that, but I knew it. I knew it based on people that I talked to directly in the organization. You could feel that there was certainly a consensus inside with some individuals that Baker Mayfield was worthy of that number 1 overall pick, and people just didn't see it. So I don't know if this is one of those situations where I just don't see Shedeur and it's there and it'll happen. And in the long run, I'll understand why. But I just, with all the information that's out there and the confusion that gets created in the process, it's that draft evaluation. And I'd have to hear why the draft evaluation for the Titans was dramatically different for Shedeur than maybe a number of other teams.
So, Charles, it feels like the conversation over the last few years in the NFL at wide receiver has shifted to you can find a lot of really good wide receivers coming out in the draft that can play for you immediately and can be impactful. I'm looking at this year's draft, and I'm sure there will be some of those guys. The general consensus, though, seems to be that people are down on this year's wide receivers coming out in the draft. So how do you kind of view that and what that can mean for this year's draft at that spot?
Yeah, it's not. I think when you talk to people, there's just not the elite guys at the top. I think that's the one sort of difference is that you've particularly last couple of years, the classes have been so good. It was not difficult to find some elite level players at the top of the draft from a wideout perspective. This time it's a little bit different because you have one guy, in Travis Hunter, who arguably could be wide receiver 1, who didn't spend the bulk of his time in college really refining that part of his game. I think, he by far, he was more involved with being in the defensive meetings and being a more refined corner. And then yet he went out there as a wide receiver, maybe didn't run the most polished routes, maybe didn't do all these different things perfectly, but put out enough of an athletic profile and then the tape to lead some evaluators to go, if he said today, I'm going to be a wide receiver, he automatically becomes wide receiver 1 in the class. And we think he'll get a lot better because he hasn't spent the bulk of his time as a football player in those meetings. Now that's where he'll concentrate, and he's going to take a huge leap forward, even over what he's done, which has been fairly prolific at the position. So it's weird that maybe your wide receiver 1 in the draft has to decide whether he's a wide receiver or a corner. And then you get to like Tet McMillan, right? Who's the kid out of Arizona, big profile. You hear a lot of the Mike Evans comparisons. But, there's mixed reviews because Tet McMillan, from 2023 to 2024, I think there are some people who didn't see the huge leap they really expected between those 2 seasons. They will tell you that, hey, he presents very, fairly similarly in 2023 and 2024 in terms of what you're looking at on tape. So where's the growth? Where's the, ceiling? He runs a 40. It's, mid. If teams are being generous, it's a 4.5. If teams are not being generous, it's a 4.6. That's the kind of disparity that exists there. So it's like, is he a possession receiver? Does he have explosive playmaking ability? There's a piece of tape. Honestly, there's a snippet that emerged really in about the last week of Tet McMillan, where it's not really clear where he was or how long. It looks like it was at least a year ago. And there's somebody talking to him on this video, and he's saying he doesn't watch football and, doesn't like watching tape, doesn't like watching game tape. And for some, that's alarming because it's like, does he love football? He's not watching football and he doesn't like to do tape. Is that alarming? And do we think he's just not someone who really loves the game of football? So now we're scared that is he going to invest the time that's necessary to be a pro when he gets to the NFL? And then there are other people who are like, that's not unusual. like other people, it's funny. I was talking to a team and one guy said to me, when the snippet had come out, and I said, hey, do you think this is concerning? And he said, when we get our tablets back, he said, do you know how shockingly low the usage time is for the wide receivers? Like basically you're just saying like there's a lot of wide receivers who don't watch a ton of film. Like that's just not, and they're really good players, but that's just not what they're devoting their time to is watching film. So not overly concerned about it. So those are the two top guys, right? And then when you get past that, then it's you got Matthew Golden, the kid who started out here in Houston and then went, to Austin, played for the Longhorns, and has a section of games that suddenly created this idea that he could be a top end wide receiver. It's just there's no superstars at the top, and then you have a second tier group that it's a lot of different individuals. Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. It's just a number of different players that offer something different to different evaluators. If you're looking for a wide receiver, I would say you probably want to be invested in, grabbing a couple of guys beyond the first wave because the first wave's not great. And then hoping that, your scouts really do a great job and your front office does a great job. That's going to separate you.
Well, Charles, great stuff as always, man. Really appreciate you taking time to be with us today, and we will talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Have a good morning.
Yes, sir. You as well. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, our guest on Robby and Rexrode. A lot to react to there from Charles. We'll do that next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Welcome back in. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. Got some tickets to give away. Pair of tickets to the Jack O'Pierce at City Winery this Saturday night. Be caller number 3, 615-737-1025. We'll have Pred's Pick to Click coming up here in just a few minutes. Joe, some news to pass along in the NFL. This, as of a few minutes ago, Diana Rossini, among others, putting it out there, that the NFL owners have passed a rule change that will allow both teams to possess the ball in overtime during the regular season. Now, the original rule was thrown out there to be back at 15 minutes for overtime in the NFL. It will remain at 10, so a 10-minute overtime period, and both teams will have the opportunity to possess the football. Joe, your thoughts?
Whatever. Well, I'm glad they didn't go to 15. If you're going to do this, fine, but you keep it 10 minutes. Some team goes down, scores a touchdown. I mean, I think that if a team comes down and scores a touchdown, that should be the game. I'm fine with the old sudden death. Frankly, the best overtime rule to me in the history of football is the original college overtime rule, which is the teams at the 25. I love it.
I agree.
I would do that. And, I know the NFL could never just copy college football on anything, but I think that's way better than this stuff. Now, of course, then college pisses me off because then they go to the
Stupid
two-point festival, which is absolutely ridiculous just because of one Texas A&M LSU game from like 2016. Who cares? But anyway, it's whatever. It's fine. Just keep it at 10 minutes.
There's another rule change that's been made as well, and that is, it's not really a rule change, but it is now the proposal that was thrown out there the other day by the competition committee. They have expanded replay help. So now if there is a clear and obvious flag that could be picked up, you can make that, they can buzz down from the replay booth and they can pick it up. So defenseless player, horse collar, tripping, running into the kicker, face mask, those type of fouls can now be assisted by the replay booth.
So those types of fouls can now be reversed.
Correct.
Okay. That's interesting. I hope it doesn't bog things down. The NFL is pretty good at keeping things moving, man. So
see, the language is clear and obvious video evidence. So then we're going to get into, okay, well, what exactly is clear and obvious video evidence?
And that's the thing. If it's immediate, that's what it has to be.
Right.
Oh my gosh. They said face mask, and look, he actually just grabbed the shoulder pad and his head yanked and it looked like it.
Right.
Boom. Instant. Okay, fine. But anything where, let's take a look at it. Nope, that's it. Whatever the call is, we have human error. We're always going to have human error. Sports has human error. The players make mistakes. The coaches make mistakes. The GMs make mistakes. The owners make mistakes. Officials are going to make mistakes.
That is true.
Sorry.
On the Charles Robinson front, did not seem like he is anticipating the Titans playing the long game here and pulling the wool over everybody's eyes and trading back and drafting Shedeur Sanders. Said that would be pretty contrary to what he's heard around the NFL there.
I still
good question though.
Yeah, I like the creativity. I like to believe that the Titans are just absolutely playing this game to the hilt right now.
Yeah.
You know what? We're just going to send out Jimmy Wyatt, you just go out there to Shedeur. Yeah, get a little video, talk to him. We don't need anybody else out there. We don't really care about Shedeur. Shedeur, don't worry, we're going to draft you, Shedeur. Be ready.
FaceTiming with Dion every day.
Yeah.
Brian Callahan and Dion on like a daily FaceTime.
Oh, man. What a joy.
So what's Shedeur's favorite food? We're going to stock the cafeteria with that.
Does he like Uncrustables? Because we have a lot of Uncrustables.
A lot of Uncrustables around there. You know, Mike Malarkey used to bring the Kona ice truck around for training camp, and we could bring that back if Shedeur likes it.
That's right. That's good recall by you.
Yeah.
Malarkey and the Kona ice. Yeah. The good old days.
Big thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Marcus Mariota over there sipping on some Kona ice after practice.
Yeah. How about that?
Yeah.
No, I'd like to think
so we're turning over every stone if you love Shedeur Sanders. Got to find out what he likes to eat.
I think he's better. So like Charles said, you'd have to be really contrary to the rest of the NFL and thinking he's a better prospect.
How does that make you feel that you're very contrary to the rest of the NFL?
I mean, honestly, as bad as they are at making choices, I don't feel terrible about it. You know, again, I'm going purely on, I just am a big believer. And again, I'll go to Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has no business ever being a starting quarterback in the NFL. He doesn't. He doesn't have the arm talent. He doesn't have the athleticism, the size, any of that. That's why he was a 4th-round pick. But he has quick decision making and he has accuracy. I think a huge misconception with Shedeur Sanders, because you can go with the some of these metrics can be what's the word they can be misleading.
Yes.
Thank you. My God.
Manipulated.
Yeah, they can be misleading. So some of the metrics suggest that he holds on to the ball too long. If you watch Colorado play, the holding on to the ball too long plays that skew those numbers are when a free rusher comes in immediately and he has to run for his life for 4 or 5 seconds and then throw the ball. When Shedeur Sanders has conditions that mean decent protection and he can scan the field, the ball's out fast, the ball's out accurately. His on-time throw percentage is very high, much higher than Cam Ward and some of the highest we've seen in recent years. And that's all it is. That's all Cousins is. Quick decisions, balls accurate. Layups, layups, layups. You hit them. And I'm a believer in accuracy over a lot of things at this position, and that's why I like him better. So we'll see. I'll put it out right now. I think Shedeur Sanders has a better NFL career than Cam Ward. So put me down for that and hold me accountable.
I like it.
When I'm inevitably wrong.
There we go. 615-737-1025, our phone number. Pred's Pick to Click coming up next. Be the first caller at 615-737-1025. If you guess a goal scorer for the Predators, you win a pair of tickets to a future Nashville Predators home game. We'll do that next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, 1063, The Game. Preds pick to click here on Robby and Rexrode. Preds back in action tonight, taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. I'll have your pregame at 5 here on 102.5, 106.3 The Game. No change to the standings last time out. Zach LaRue scored last night, and none of us picked him. So Rexrode remains in first place, 15 correct answers. Listeners with 11. I have 7. Keyser with 4. With that in mind, let's head to our 102.5 The Game phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Wesley to the program. Wesley, good morning. Thank you for calling in. Who is your pick to click tonight for the Nashville Predators?
I just got to go Phillip, man. Can't go anybody other than Forsberg.
Going with Phillip Forsberg. Thank you for the call. Forsberg, the selection. I'm up first today. Colton Sisson's not playing. Jonathan Marchessault is out of the lineup tonight as well, so keep that in mind with your selections. I will go Nick Blankenberg on the power play.
Boom.
Give me Blankenberg on the power play tonight. PP1. Nick Keyser, your pick to click for the Nashville Predators.
I'll go with Luke Evangelista.
Going with Luke Evangelista. Forsberg, Blankenberg, Evangelista off the board. Rexrode, your selection.
Okay, let's see. What is the absolute deepest cut that I can do? I mean, I can't do
Jakub Vrana. I'm
not going to do, like goalie or anything like that. How about
Andreas Englund?
How about Kiefer Bellows?
There you go. Kiefer Bellows been playing some good hockey lately.
Might actually be a good pick.
Yeah. Kiefer Bellows.
It'll probably work out, knowing me.
Knowing how good I am at this competition, it'll probably be great. Forsberg, Blankenberg, Evangelista, Bellows, the selection in Preds pick to click. And that kind of shows you right there the season it's been for the Nashville Predators to this point, that's our selection on April the 1st. So, and we are not joking.
Not an April Fool's joke.
No, we are going right at it. So
we never did any April Fool's jokes today.
Tiger Woods pulled off one today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tiger tweeted that, the Achilles rupture that he had a couple weeks ago, it's all going good and he'll be ready for the Masters next week. And then he waited about 5 minutes and said, yeah, by the way, my Achilles is still in shambles, so I will not be at the Masters.
And everybody's like, oh
yes.
That's so funny. And your Achilles is still ruined. That's great. Thanks, Tiger. Also, a college basketball account that usually is reliable tweeted out that Kansas's Hunter Dickinson got a 7th year. I mean, Hunter Dickinson, if he could be a 25-year college basketball player, he absolutely would be.
He played with Christian Laettner, didn't he?
Yeah. They were big rivals.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bill Walton.
Yeah.
Those two going at it in the post.
Got to be wary of things today. People love the April Fools out there.
Have you done any amazing April Fools jokes on anyone at any point?
I don't think in my life I've ever done that.
So I'll tell you a quick story. In living in the dorms at Michigan State, when my buddies was applying to be a resident assistant for the next year, RA, and I got a hold of some official Michigan State letterhead and wrote a rejection letter to him and put it in his mailbox on April 1.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty. I thought it was pretty good too. And I made it all professional. I didn't say like, you're a total doofus loser, that's why you didn't get it. Like, I made it very professional, believable.
We regret to inform you.
Yeah, it was very great.
Your application.
It destroyed his day. It was great. Good joke.
Did he end up getting it?
Yeah, he got the job.
Okay,
yeah,
that's
he's
good.
fine. No, he was a lock.
A nice redemption story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, it all worked out.
Was it Charles?
It was not Charles.
Okay.
No, unfortunately. It was not Charles.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you got to be real careful about what's going on out there today.
Yeah.
As our
head on a swivel today.
One of our favorite Twitter accounts just put this out there. April Fool's Day, not a good day for message board geniuses. Be careful out there today. Could see a lot of stuff on the message boards today in college sports.
Yeah. And message board geniuses already has plenty of good stuff on it.
Robby, what would your April Fool's joke be for Shane Beamer?
Oh, I don't know if I can joke with that guy. Might need to be a serious confrontation.
Like, act like he likes him?
Yeah, that would probably be it.
Acts like ask him for his autograph.
You seem to be tolerable.
April Fools.
Yeah.
Give him something to sign. Give him like a pen that doesn't work.
It's probably
sign
good
you an
that,
autograph. Then watch him get all flustered.
Yeah, Tennessee didn't play them last year, and they don't play them again this year. It's probably good. You get a little Shane Beamer breather.
Yeah, but he'll be.
He'll sneak in there.
Yeah, you'll see him. You'll watch South Carolina games.
He was at the SEC tournament here a few weeks ago.
He was?
I was like, God, this guy just can't stay away.
They had nothing to do with South Carolina. They weren't anywhere near the court after their first game, and yet there he was.
There he is.
Front and center.
Just making. I just hope the players that end up getting drafted by that were from South Carolina this year can overcome having him as coach. Just hope that's what it is.
Yeah, maybe that's like one of those. It's like a plus on their scouting report. It's like tolerated Shane Beamer through their time in college.
It'd be a plus on my scouting report.
That means good culture guy. Good culture.
That does it for us today here on the program. We will be back 6 a.m. tomorrow. Kuharski with us tomorrow on the program. Jason Big Joe coming up next. You're listening to 102.5, 106.3 The Game.